This video will review the geometry concept of the area of a shape. In this video, we will review the following shapes: square, rectangle, parallelogram, and triangle. We will begin with discussing the area of a square. Label your square with the length and the width. The area of the square is the length times the width. Note that in a square, the length and the width are equal. So the area of the square is the length times the width, which is the same as the length squared or the width squared. Let's look at an example square. This square has a length of 4 and a width of 4. You can think of this square as having 4 rows and 4 columns, and the area of the square as being the total number of small squares that make up the large square. So the area equals 4 times 4, or 4 squared, which is 16. Now we will review the area of a rectangle. Like a square, the area of a rectangle is the length times the width. In this example rectangle, the length is 7 and the width is 3, so the overall area is 21. Like the square, you can think of this rectangle as having 7 columns and 3 rows, and the total number of smaller boxes that make up the rectangle is the same as the total area. Now we will review the area of a parallelogram. The bottom of the parallelogram is called the base. To find the height of the parallelogram, draw a vertical line from one vertex to the opposite base. This vertical line should form a right angle with the base. Label this line as the height. The area of the parallelogram is the base times the height. This example parallelogram has a base of 8 and a height of 4. The area of the parallelogram is 8 times 4, or 32. Think about the ways that a parallelogram differs from a rectangle and a square. In a parallelogram, the 4 angles are not right angles. So to find the height of the parallelogram to use in the area formula, we have to create a right angle in the shape. Look at the line that we marked as height. If you take this line and block out the triangle to the right, we can move this triangle to the left side of the shape. Once we move this triangle, we have transformed our parallelogram into a rectangle. Before, we wrote our rectangle as having a length and a width, but our parallelogram has the base and the height. The base is the same as the length, and the height is the same as the width. So the area of the parallelogram is the base times height, or the length times width, which is the same as a rectangle. Now we will review the area of a triangle. Here we have 2 different kinds of triangles. On the right, we have a right triangle, and on the left, we have an isosceles triangle. Label the bottom of both of these triangles as the base. For the right triangle, the side that forms a right angle with the base is called the height. For the isosceles triangle, we must draw a vertical line to find the height. Draw the line from the top vertex to the base to form a right angle. This line is the height. For both types of triangles, the area is 1/2 times the base times the height. First, let's look at an example of an isosceles triangle. The base is 4 and the height is 5. The area is 1/2 times the base times the height, so 1/2 times 4 times 5 equals 10. Now let's look at an example of a right triangle. Here the base is 3 and the height is 6. Again, the area is 1/2 times the base times the height, so 1/2 times 3 times 6 equals 9. Think about the relationship between the triangle and the other shapes that we looked at, the square, the rectangle, and the parallelogram. Imagine that we could duplicate these triangles and then rotate them. Here, the rotated duplicates are shown in white. Now put these 2 pieces together. When put together, the 2 triangles on the left form a parallelogram, while the 2 triangles on the right form a rectangle. Remember from earlier that the parallelogram and rectangle area equals base times height, or length times width. Notice that if we look at just the yellow shaded triangles, that area is half of the area of the total shape, so the triangle area is 1/2 times the base times the height. Let's review the shapes that we have gone over today. The square has an area of length times width, or length squared or width squared, since the length and the width are the same. The rectangle has an area of length times width as well. A parallelogram has an area of base times height, and a triangle has an area of 1/2 times base times height. I hope that this has been a helpful review of the areas of shapes.